Hi again, everybody. I feel like I've been needing to say this for a while, and I've been putting it off because that's just what I do for some reason. So here goes. Let me apologize profusely if somebody has given a bad example of Christ. Like a very bad example. They have misrepresented him to you, and that was people. That was not God. That is not who God is. He loves you, and he wants you to pursue him. For example, if you walk into church first time or for the first time in a long time, and they greet you with anything other than open arms, as if to say welcome home, because that's what God does, is he welcomes you home. He is so grateful that you are choosing him. If they greet you with anything other than that, you gotta run out the door. If they are, glaring at you for any reason, if there's people being unkind to you or actively judging you, like seeking you out and being like, I can't believe he's here, he has tattoos, he has piercings, or she wears this clothing, or she has this type of hairstyle. That's not God. That is people and their own judgments. So, ignore those people. They are on their own journey, and I pray they get there eventually. The church you go to should accept you, but that does not mean to affirm sinful behavior. To accept means to receive or to answer or respond with a positive attitude or outlook, while affirm is to assert positively or to maintain something to be true. A church should be accepting of you with also standing on biblical truth and principles. Some of these misrepresentations can include the Catholic Church SA cases with those young boys or, young children in general. That is horrible. That is evil. That is not God. Do not ever think that is God, because he is displeased, to say the least, with those people. Another example would be a church that partakes or affirms, there's that word again, in certain social or societal norms, even if said norm compromises biblical truth. Changing biblical truth to affirm one political agenda or the other. I've seen both in several ways. They should not be leaning too far one way or the other, or pushing certain things just to gain that type of traction, I guess you could say. He is displeased with these people. These people misguide. They mistreat people. They are leading people to damnation with their false teachings, with their affirmations of unbiblical truth. The Bible warns us about these people, and I will tag verses supporting this and the caption. The Bible warns against false teachers in Matthew 24, verse 24. Jesus said, "For false messiahs and false prophets will rise up and perform great signs and wonders, so as to deceive, if possible, even God's chosen ones." Misinterpretation can come from preaching the wrong Jesus, and this is shown in 2 Corinthians 11. Verse 14 says, "But I am not surprised. Even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light." And this can be interpreted in a few ways. I personally see it as he can appear as an angel, and he has to several people, and that is how people are misguided in some ways. But that also means he can appear in places that are supposed to be a light to others, as in churches, for example. There's also people I've heard that abuse grace, God's grace, and say that, oh, well, he'll forgive me anyways, so I'm going to keep doing what I want, and he'll forgive me, it's fine. Romans 7:15. Well then, since God's grace set us free from the law, does that mean we should go on sinning? Of course not. You become a slave to what you obey. So if a church or a pastor, preacher, priest, whatever you want to call it, is affirming sinful behavior, they are keeping you in bondage, and that is not God. That is people being led not by God. In Jeremiah 23, we are warned against false prophecies and false prophets, and verse 36 says, "But stop using this phrase, prophecy from the Lord, for people are using it to give authority to their own ideas, turning upside down the words of our God, the living God, the Lord of heaven's armies." So there's people out there who will say, oh, well, God told me this, God told me that. If it is not biblical, it is not from God. I'm not saying that corruption has completely overtaken churches, but it is within the churches, unfortunately. It is everywhere. It's hard to escape, but if you read, you will be able to decipher who is a good example and who is a bad example. You just need to read. I cannot tell you how many things confused me before I started reading the Bible, and now that I have read almost over half of it, it's so clear who does read the Bible, who does not read the Bible, who is following biblical truth, who is not, who is a false prophet, who is a false teacher, who's praising the wrong Jesus or not Jesus at all. And we just have to do better. We have to focus on God and God alone while keeping each other accountable. We need to hold each other accountable with biblical truth, not with affirming sinful behaviors, not with saying, oh, that's okay, I'm sure God will forgive you. He will, but don't take advantage of it, because that's not right. Doing that is like a friend smacking me in the face and them saying, oh, I'm sorry, me forgiving them, and them doing it again because they know that I'm forgiving. They know that I'm loving, that I know that I'm always going to forgive them. That is abuse of grace, and that's not good. In conclusion, these people are not good representations of Christ. The best representation of Christ you're going to get is Christ himself. And he is all within the pages of this book, the Holy Bible. He's everywhere. So brush up on your reading and seek him for yourself and you will find him. Seek and you will find. I hope everyone has a lovely day, and God bless you.